able to help tomorrow. Displaced animals will be flown into Seattle to be adopted. Seattle Humane Society says a Wings of Rescue flight will land in Boeing Field with more than 60 displaced pets, and it says they will be available for adoption starting on Tuesday. It's a great time to bring in Kiro 7's Frankie Katafias in the Pinpoint Weather Center, keeping track of everything going on both here at home and down in Southern California.
Yeah, Eric, the thing here is that, we take a look at what's happening here at Pinpoint Storm Tracker around Washington, and it's not a whole lot. So something I do want to draw our attention to is what is happening in California, because it is a quite interesting weather phenomenon that's going hand in hand with a natural disaster. Now, this is a look, and something that you're probably wondering is, Frankie, why are we looking and what exactly are we looking at? And right here, it's that wind direction. You can see right here, I'm drawing it on for you, the direction in which that wind is coming. These are northeasterly winds, and this is comparable to what we get here in Washington, the gap winds, the Cascade easterly gap winds. When we see that through Enumclaw and parts of Issaquah, brings a burst of strong winds, and that's something similar that we're starting to see happen yet again here in California. So the California region is seeing that wind already picking up, coming from that northeasterly direction. Now, sustained winds are 20 to 30 miles per hour with a gust of about 45 miles per hour, but those places that sit in the foothills and even those higher elevations in the mountains where these northeasterly winds are strong and even more potent, we could see those wind gusts going 50 to 75 miles per hour, which again is a very big concern as these fires continue to burn. Now, we do have some updates for us here closer to home, and I'll take a look at what you can expect over the next 7 days and my full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thanks, Frankie. We'll check in a few. And as she mentioned, the winds expected to pick back up as well. So make sure you stick with Kiro 7 on air and online for all the latest developments. Meanwhile, LA Mayor Karen Bass facing criticism, and President-elect Donald Trump taking aim at California Governor Gavin Newsom. Tom Hansen has more on the political tensions out of California.
As LA firefighters battle intensifying flames, Democratic officials are facing heated criticism from residents.
The chief and I are lockstep in our number one mission. And that mission is to get us past this emergency right now.
Today, Mayor Karen Bass and Fire Chief Kristen Crowley presented a unified front at a press briefing, following reports the mayor had dismissed the chief over her complaints of insufficient resources.
How can Angelenos be sure that you two are on the same page when everyone is facing this historic and unprecedented crisis?
We have one mission, and that is going to be our sole focus. Now, prior to this, the chief and I have always been in regular communication, and we will continue to do that.
But during an earlier interview, the fire chief appeared frustrated in her department's ability to fight fires after a more than $17 million budget cut last year.
We are screaming to be properly funded to make sure that our firefighters can do their jobs so that we can serve the community, that we took an oath.
Governor Gavin Newsom is also facing questions over the response. On Friday, he ordered an investigation into why a 117 million gallon reservoir in the Pacific Palisades was out of service and the loss of water pressure to some fire hydrants, calling it deeply troubling.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not.
For the moment, Mayor Bass wants to stay focused on the fires.
When the fires are out, make no mistake, we will have a full accounting of what worked and especially what did not.
You can feel the emotion and the devastation. Tom Hansen reporting there, and the cost from all of this damage is going to reach into the billions.
He's a boy. He's my boy. And he's gone down like that.
Today, marking a year since 16-year-old Christopher Escobar was shot and killed in SeaTac. His murderer still yet to be arrested. Escobar was simply on his way to a friend's house when he was shot and killed. And we spoke to his mother last year, who says she didn't even find out about the murder until the next day. She saw articles online about a, quote, SeaTac man, but that man actually turned out to be her 16-year-old son.
He's just a boy. He's 16 years old. He was on his way to, he wasn't doing nothing. He's not harming anybody. He lives behind three little brothers and a mom.
If you know what happened, you are urged to call the number you see on your screen. And tonight we have learned there is a $3,000 reward for any additional information. Meanwhile, 5 people recovering following a head-on crash in Tacoma. This happened last night just after 10 o'clock on South 19th Street and South Sprague Avenue, and you can see just how much damage was done to both vehicles. Police say the at-fault driver was speeding and has since been arrested for vehicular assault. The victims, meanwhile, taken to the hospital in serious condition. Elsewhere, fire crews in Snohomish County called to a crash after a driver hit a tree. And when the call came in just before 11 last night, crews were told the driver was stuck under the dash with the car on fire. First responders, as you can see, managing to put out the blaze and had to use the jaws of life to free that individual. In all, it took 9 firefighters to get that victim out. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries and speed believed to be a factor in this crash. But with the legislature starting on Monday, Democratic state lawmakers pushing to cap rent statewide. The bill failed by wide margins when introduced last year, but this time around, they're more optimistic with new incoming legislators. Democratic Seattle Representative Emily Alvarado pre-filed the bill this week. It proposes a 7% cap on yearly rent hikes for existing tenants with some exceptions, but would also require a 180-day notice before an increase of 3% or more, and also limit some move-in and deposit fees. And going in depth, the cost of living in Washington notably higher than other states across the country. Rent Cafe reporting the average cost to buy or rent 29% higher than the national average. However, the monthly utilities rate, that's about 7% lower than the rest of the country. We're going to take a break, but coming up, an 18-year-old accused of killing a blind man.
Couldn't understand what that was because these are two people who don't fight.
That man's family describing his impact around the community.
Get 15% off your move and a free month of storage right now at On The Go Moving and Storage. On The Go is Seattle's top-rated moving company and has been serving the Puget Sound area for over a decade. Whether you're moving your home or your business, we've got you covered. With 15% off and a free month of storage, this is a deal you can't afford to miss. Residential, commercial, big jobs or small, we make moving simple, fast, and stress-free. Call now to lock in this limited time offer. On The Go Moving and Storage. Moving you can rely on.
Hello, Mr. Turnwall.
Turnwall, that's me.
Congratulations! You won an all-expense-paid trip to Waikiki Village, a 5-star resort located on a gorgeous island with a cozy climate.
Ever since I got one of those signature heating installs from Greenwood, I'm always perfectly comfortable right here at home.
But
hard pass.
Car accident?
Who's there?
It's me, Jack, the insurance claim adjuster. In order to process your injury claim, we're going to need you to sign some forms as soon as possible.
You guys are going to cover all my medical bills. Time off work?
Let's be honest. What other option do you have? And second thought, don't worry about it.
Don't let insurance companies pressure you to take less than you deserve. Phillips Law Firm, unleashing justice for you.
Magical moments, snowy adventures, warming up, making memories, a winter wonderland. The perfect close-by getaway this winter is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Tonight, a tragic find inside of a building in Seattle's First Hill neighborhood. We bring back Kiro 7 Samantha Lomibao joining me now. And Samantha, this apparently caused a major traffic backup earlier this evening.
Yeah, you may have seen this if you were around Broadway and East Jefferson around 8 p.m. tonight. You may have seen that Seattle Fire shut down the streets, and that's because there was a reported toxic chemical inside of an apartment building there, and sadly, a person was found dead inside a first-floor apartment unit. Still no word on what that cause was. Now, Seattle police were also called to the building as residents were forced to evacuate. Hazmat crews were seen preparing to walk inside the building to see what kind of chemical it was. And Deputy Chief Ed Nelson with Seattle Fire Department tells us they have to be extra cautious, not knowing what they may find.
We treat it as if it is, and then hopefully it's not. But we have to be as conservative and as careful as you can.
All right, better safe than sorry. Seattle police have taken over the scene. Hazmat crews were still in the area monitoring air quality, but since then, those roads have reopened. Live in studio, Samantha Lomibao, Kiro 7 News.
Thanks, Samantha. Meanwhile, an 18-year-old man, Naim Hicks, charged with the murder of a blind man from Tacoma tonight. Investigators say Hicks drove through an intersection in downtown Burien before he got out of his vehicle and hit that man, causing him to fall to the ground and hit his head. Kiro 7's Brandon Thompson speaking to the victim's family, and Brandon learned that he actually touched the lives of a lot of people around the community.
The past month in Andrea and Doug Williams' home,
it's been a continual outpouring of camaraderie.
Has been quite full.
We had, I think, 60 people in our house the Friday after it happened.
Full of people who knew their late brother-in-law, Stephen Bird.
Steve's community of friends was extremely large, was very large.
Stephen was killed in December. He was walking in a crosswalk in downtown Burien with friends when a car ran a stop sign, nearly hitting them. One of Stephen's friends threw his keys at that car.
Then the car stopped. Not when the three people were in the crosswalk, but when the three people who were almost hit did something about the fact that they were almost hit.
Court documents say the driver got out and hit Stephen.
We couldn't understand what that was because these are two people who don't fight.
He fell to the ground. Court documents say a witness heard the fall from 6 stories above. Stephen died a week later from the injury. His personality, though, still alive in his family's memory.
Sense of humor, kindness, his wit, his crazily intelligent and curious about the world around him and about people around him.
It was people and books Stephen loved the most.
Birthday gifts were always books.
As well as using his voice.
Love to, be the orator at all of our gatherings with his mellifluous voice.
Stephen was legally blind, a disease that overtook his vision in the decades since he was first diagnosed. What he lacked in sight, he made up in advocacy for the